I want to talk about a topic that I sort of laugh off when people ask it, which is like, when should you leave the girl? When is it time to go? And what they usually mean is like they're getting a bad reaction and they want to know like when should I give up, right? What I want to talk about is something a little different, which is when you should leave a good set. Now that sounds weird, right? Why would you want to leave a good set? Well, the reason is you may want to leave because there are better possibilities elsewhere, okay? So my answer to, by the way, for when you should leave the bad set is typically like when you either can't see it going at all or when she tells you aggressively to fuck off. Either of those, depending whether you're working for practice or working for a result. But let's talk about good sets. When do you want to leave a good set? Well, here's the way I look at the night, and this is very interesting to think about. I think to myself, if I were to go out on a given night and I'm just going to go out and just game hard the whole night and try and get a result, I have a certain expected value or a certain likely outcome from that night. So for me, I like to say I have like an 80% chance of pulling an 8, something like that, right? So a girl that's 8 or above, meaning like for me, like if she was in a magazine, you wouldn't be like, what the fuck is she doing there? She wouldn't be the hottest girl in the magazine, but she wouldn't be the girl you're like, what the fuck is she doing there? Okay, so 80%, I'll pull a girl like that if I go out and I go hard. Like I start at the start of the night, I go hard, I screen, I push it, and I just decide I'm not going home until, right? So that's kind of my expectation in my mind, something like that. So whenever I'm in a particular interaction, I think to myself, is the expected value in this interaction better or worse than my expected value in the night, right? And so if I'm talking to a girl that's pretty hot and it's going relatively well, she's hotter than an 8, it's worth it. If I'm talking to a girl and it's super, super on, well, you know, it's better than 80% chance, it's looking really good, okay, this is well worth it, okay? Now, once I start getting extreme negative indicators or extreme like non-positive signals towards pulling or towards closing, then I think to myself, are my odds better here or are my odds in the rest of the night better, okay? And so that's what I'm always thinking. I'm evaluating the two, and as long as my odds in that set are better than my odds in the night, like the night without that set, so to speak, then I'm going to stay in that set. As soon as it's not, then I'm going to switch it up, okay? Now, how do I evaluate how those odds are? Well, what I'm doing is I'm actively screening, okay? I'm actively screening. I'm screening for a few different things. I'm screening for how hot is the girl, how down is she, how intimate is she, and how are her logistics? Can she actually come home with me tonight? And I'm looking at the 3. And of the 3, the most important is hotness because I can't change that. So if I'm in a set with a girl that's like a 9 or a 10, even if it doesn't look like it's going that well, I'll stay in and try and push through because the hotness isn't going to change. And because I've been with enough like 7s, 8s, whatever, that it's not going to be like a big thing for me to get with another girl of that caliber. But with a girl of a truly high caliber, I'm willing to risk having a night where I go home with no one in order to go for the high quality, the girl you really want. Okay? So most important is hotness. Next important one, a lot of people would say downness, how into you the girl is, but actually the most important next one for me is logistics, because again, that's the hardest to change. If she has bad logistics, if she drove her entire family there and her dad's watching over her shoulder, like, that's a pretty shitty scenario, and that's not going to change very easily. Whereas if the girl's just not quite that into you yet, with good game, you can turn it around and get her more into you. So logistics is actually the next most important one, and then downness, how into you the girl is the least important of the 3, although it clearly does matter, all right? So I'm screening actively for those things, and I'm thinking to myself, is this better than your average set? Now, the one caveat I'm going to give you is this. If you start screening too hard and start like leaving every set that gives you even a tiny token bit of resistance, you're going to end up completely obliterating your results, because almost every single set you pull is at some point going to resist, going to give you a shit test, something like that. But I do think it's a good idea to look at the set and think, is this set going better than the average set for me? Is this set going better than I expect, or worse than I expect, once you factor in all those things, including obviously the quality of the girl. And while a set could be going well, or while there may be something out of that set, the biggest thing that's going to make you unsuccessful at game aren't the rejections, it's the times where you waste all night with a girl that's just not going to happen, or you spend the entire night with a girl that's below the standard you should be going for. Those are the things that will hurt you the most, right? They say in sales, it's not the no's that kill your sales career, it's the maybes. So what you want to do is you want to screen out the maybes. You want to be actively finding out what are the logistics. Actively doing things that will make the girl show that she's down or show that she's not down, so you can find that out. What you want to avoid is keeping it in that range of maybe for an extended period of time and wasting a really, really long time on it. Okay? Now again, if the girl is really hot or really high caliber, she's just your type, by all means stick in there and like try your best for it. But in that case, it's not a maybe, it's a yes, I believe in this, and yes, I'm going to try it because it's the right thing to do. So even then, it's not a maybe. But when you're thinking to yourself, okay, this is going well, but Start actively doing things to make it on or off so you don't spend your night in a maybe.